Stealing your hard-earned cash to secure government benefits. It's a crime that we've seen time and time again, especially with the Lone Star card, which gives people an allowance for food each month.
And we've learned that more and more people are getting away with it. Tonight, CBS 4 at 10's Courtney Schoeneman investigates why El Paso County has prosecuted 72% less fraud cases today than they did just 5 years ago.
What I found was a significant decline in the number of SNAP fraud cases being prosecuted by the El Paso District Attorney's Office. That trend also echoes across the entire state. This even after the 83rd legislature appropriated more money for investigations and fraud prevention in 2012.
It helps a lot because with food stamps I can buy groceries, you know, like meat, like you see, any kind of fruit, sodas.
People like Carlos Rodarte depend on the federally funded SNAP program to get groceries each month. Across the state, more than 3.7 million people were enrolled in the program last year. That adds up to more than $5.2 billion of taxpayer money. In the same year, almost 200,000 El Pasoans qualified for the program, totaling more than $256 million in benefits. But not everyone is deserving.
It is unfortunate that every now and then someone will take advantage of the system, of the department, and not allow us and take more than they're entitled to.
Last year, the El Paso District Attorney's Office prosecuted $247,000 worth of theft.
I feel real bad because, you know, the government is help us to the people who need them for real. And the people who abuse doing those kind of things ain't no good.
Fraud cases are investigated by the State Department of Health and Human Services, then referred to the DA's office.
These cases, from a prosecutor's standpoint, are not that difficult to prosecute because of the paper trail the department really requires in order for each and every person to be able to receive the funds. District
Attorney Jaime Esparza showed me an example of just one of the many cases presented to their office by the state.
When you ask me right now to look for a file, these cases look like this. You can tell. They're very organized, and the investigator really tries to put together a package that confirms the allegations that they're making.
But I discovered a troubling trend in the number of cases El Paso County is prosecuting. 104 SNAP fraud cases were prosecuted in 2010. Last year, only 30. That's a 72% decline.
It could be referrals. I've never really looked at that number.
Esparza was surprised when he saw my documents revealed a significant drop in prosecutions by his office.
I know of the success that we have with the department and the referrals. That it's not that difficult. These are not difficult cases from a prosecutor standpoint.
He could only assume the number of cases referred to their office has declined.
And I know that we accept almost all of their cases.
I went straight to the source, Health and Human Services. They refused to tell me how many cases they referred to El Paso County, even after I submitted an open records request. They told me they're, quote, still researching the matter. But the DA's office provided that information the very same day I asked. The number of cases referred hasn't wavered too much, except for an unexplainable drop-off in 2014. Still, no one can explain why so few cases are being prosecuted.
I can't tell you why their numbers are down. It could be a resource issue on their part.
Esparza tells me one reason we might be seeing such a discrepancy in numbers is just because 177 cases were referred to their office in 2013 doesn't mean they'll all be resolved in that same year.
Every case we rely on the judges and the docket, so it's really hard to tell, but I would say a case probably could take anywhere from 9 months to a year. It just depends on the judge and how a judge controls their docket.
I pulled a random case that was presented to the DA's office in 2013. Now, these are all public record, which contradicts why Health and Human Services refused to talk to me based on a confidentiality issue. This particular woman was indicted for document deception between $20,000 and $100,000, a state felony. It was presented to the DA on February 12, 2013, but the case wasn't closed until October 1st of 2015. The defendant was ordered to serve 4 years probation, $224 in court costs, and nearly $30,000 in restitution.
The court will order restitution, so that does offset the amount of total loss. But to be quite frank, we are not getting all of that money back.
Because Esparza thought Health and Human Services may be lacking resources, we had an interview with the state in Austin on February 4th to get those questions answered. Less than 24 hours before the interview, the department canceled, sending me this email, then citing confidentiality issues in a subsequent phone call. We were then asked to send a list of questions, but told they would still not give us an interview. One of the many questions I asked was for an explanation on the decline in prosecutions we've seen not just in El Paso, but across the entire state. This is the answer I was given. Quote, substantially the same question answered on January 4th. A January 4th email from Health and Human Services said, quote, I would refer you to the district attorney's office for these questions, which I had already done and was the sole reason I questioned the state in the first place. One thing the state was willing to provide me was the number of investigators stationed in the El Paso sector. What we found is there has been a 22% decline in the number of investigators over the last 5 years. Now, you, like us, may be left with many questions regarding who's responsible for this unexplainable drop in prosecutions. I have reached out to Health and Human Services multiple times this week, giving them plenty of time to respond, but they have once again declined to comment. I will continue following the story and bring you any developments. Courtney Schoeneman, CBS 4 at 10.
We posted a preview of Courtney's story on our social media platforms, and there were some ticked off people.
Absolutely.
After they see that, the fury will continue.
Yeah, great job, Courtney.
Still to come.